Welcome back to Footnotes, everybody. It's been a minute. I know we just had our New Year's extravaganza, but I love a good session, but I also love hanging out with you guys, just chatting about TTRPG stuff. How have you been?
Good.
Good.
How about you?
Yeah.
I finally, okay, if I'm allowed to gush,
Yeah.
I'm a dungeon master by trade, by nature, in my very soul. Complaining about players is not something I understand, but what I do understand, though,
Okay.
is getting to reveal the face, the voice of a big bad villain. BBEGs are very fun.
I am upset.
You're upset?
Yes.
Tell me why that is.
We see one.
Yes.
We recognize our ability and our party numbers, and we leave, or we let him leave.
You did. You decided at first, and so sorry, we're jumping right into it,
Sorry.
so keep up, everybody. You did. This session 16 of Stories to D4, you faced Zerathal for the first time. Now, you'd heard of him 3 or 4 times, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
You let him go. At first.
Also, can I just say I feel festive because we're all wearing flannel?
Oh my gosh. Guys, we left the Christmas decorations up. I'm so sorry. It's honestly, it's what, the first?
It's the first.
It's the first.
Second?
It's the second?
Today's is the second.
Today's the
It's
second.
second.
We're terrible at this.
Yeah, don't know dates.
We're still recovering from New Year's Eve. But we left our New Year's decorations up. Don't worry. I'll have Konner get the ladder and take the lights down. We'll have this settled by next week. Probably. You know those neighbors who keep it in. They eventually turn the Christmas decorations out front pink for Valentine's Day.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
you just put a little heart on the deer in the yard. It's fine.
Just turn them back to Christmas for Easter
Yeah.
matches.
For those of you who may just be joining us for the first time tonight, hey, welcome. This is Konner, who plays... I should let you introduce yourself. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I'm Konner. I play Laurentius Thorn on the Stories D4 channel.
And who are you?
I am Ismini Callister, played by Victoria.
Character
Dang it,
second,
dang it.
character first.
Character for I'm sitting at the table. That's a little thing I want to talk about at some point. Is like the different ways people role play.
Okay.
So yeah, hi, I'm Victoria. I play as Meanie Callister. Wow. Yeah, no, I'm a wizard.
You did let Zerathal walk away this week. I got to step briefly just off frame, but tell me a little bit more about that decision, how maybe both of you as characters or as players felt.
Both are upset, which I have a lot of things to say just about that singular encounter. It would have been very satisfying to fight him in that moment.
Oh, for sure.
It would have been really satisfying, but there
Yeah.
were a few reasons why we didn't. We were down 2 party members.
2 party members.
The good ones.
I don't know about you, but I had 1 spell slot for that whole encounter.
Yeah, I had some spell slots, but I was going to run out of them very
Yeah.
quickly.
And I even ended up going down that encounter. So
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just bad.
Oh yeah, there you are, unconscious.
Yeah,
Yeah.
taking a nap.
We'll help you. But I don't think it would have been. And then, we have one of our party members there looking a little bit like a fine wine. The villain's defeat tastes better aged a little bit. Thank you, Jake.
Yeah.
But we got to meet him for the first time. There's been a few times in my time playing Dungeons and Dragons so far, some of it at the same table, where we've had to meet maybe and then either run away, tactical retreat, or just not engage entirely with an enemy.
Oh, the Blue King.
Yeah,
what's that?
our biggest BBEG.
That was, I think, the first time in that first campaign that we actually ran away from a fight.
Fully
You
ran
were
away.
level 14, I want to say, 15?
Yeah.
14 or 15,
Yeah.
yeah. But we completely ran away. We said, we can't do this. And that felt like a moment where, because of the circumstances, we couldn't leave one of Klella's PCs in the hands of the enemy a second time in a different campaign. So
Oh my gosh.
Running
it would
theme
have
now.
is a running theme of Clella getting kidnapped.
Wow, what does this say about me as a DM?
But yeah, I really wish that we could have fought him, but I know that it would have ended very bad.
I got the stat block, it's just behind the screen.
I'm not
You
gonna
could
look
have
at-
fought him.
We could have fought him, but I don't think it would have ended very well for us, quite frankly.
I want to mention something just to give my players a little bit more credit. So during last session, once they had completed that first rest there in the King's Prism in Shelt, you all finally achieved 5th level. I'm of the opinion 5th level is when you stop, in 5th edition, is you stop being, wow, those are pretty talented folks. Because even a first level fighter is more talented than most members of a town guard.
Yeah.
But a 5th level adventurer is a full-on, that's a threat. We've got some really talented individuals. Ismini has 3rd level spells, and those, you have the ability, we saw Fear. We'll talk about a little bit about that spell.
I'd love to have a chat. I'm making a list now of everything I want
I'll
to talk
just
about for Footnotes.
Fear.
Yeah, I want to talk about the role playing thing, the fear thing, like the spells, being a wizard now. Like, I have so many things that I want to talk about. I could fill the entire hour with questions.
Well, that's actually what Footnotes is all about, both for my players, myself, and for all you here in chat, to ask questions and kind of just help us chat a little bit about the campaign and just TTRPGs in general.
We keep a running list of everything that comes up every time that we didn't get to.
You know, since we got some questions here lined up, I want to get our announcements out of the way real quick. I have a few things that I'm very excited about, and we're going to put more information on the Discord either this evening or tomorrow, but we've got a couple things planned. 2022, we've been streaming for a few months, and with this, the dawn of a new year, we want to get started with some major projects. First things first, let's start with what you do know about. We have plans for the Battlesphere one-shot. The Battlesphere is a place that my players have heard of, but haven't yet had the chance to visit in any of our previous campaigns. So our Battlesphere one-shot will be a 5th edition one-shot that requires no extra knowledge. So if you haven't fully caught up on stories, no problem. If you're new to 5th edition, that's okay. This is going to be essentially a gladiatorial combat against some really powerful monsters from throughout the plains and beyond. Konner, your character scares me. Your character's very powerful, and I'm very excited to meet him.
Yeah, he's gonna be fun.
Victoria, we've been working on your Hero Forge option for that.
Sure, your character's gonna be powerful and scary as well.
My character's going to be wonderful. Having discussed her a little bit in the past, I'm ready to ruin my DM's day.
Ooh, Jake, thank you so much for that question. Once we talk about the fear, we'll talk about what everybody would see under the effects of that spell.
Okay.
That's a good one.
So for that Battlesphere one-shot, if you want more information, please follow us on our Discord. The link is below in the description. And also, it's absolutely free. You don't have to subscribe to do it. But if you like what we do and you want to support us, we'd really appreciate you to follow and subscribe here on Twitch. If you have Amazon Prime, you can even do it for free.
Free subscriptions. And a reminder, too, that we have emotes already available to be unlocked for tier 2 and 3 subs that we need to have designs for, and hopefully coming up very soon once we unlock the Battlesphere one shot, we also will unlock another emote slot. So if you have any ideas, any pitches, no matter how wild, send them over to us on that Discord, and or on Twitter, whatever. But we'll be able to put those into the pool because we're going to do some polls and see what people are most interested in.
Now, here is one that I've been so excited. I'm going to call this next project is something that's almost a Christmas present for me specifically. I'm hyped. I've been waiting for this to play this game since before Stories was a twinkle in our eyes. We're going to be playing some Gloomhaven on stream. We're getting the details sorted out, but pretty soon we'll be able to have a schedule and a launch date. Gloomhaven, for those of you who may not know, is a massive, progressive legacy-style dungeon crawling board game. And so it's not D&D, it's not Dungeons & Dragons, there are different monsters, there are different classes and such, but you do play through a series of adventures as mercenaries in the city of Gloomhaven. Victoria, you've been trying out one of the Gloomhaven, this simplified game, Jaws of the Lion. How have you been liking it?
I would like to play it all of the time, forever.
Take a few weeks off work?
Yeah.
Go through all the scenarios?
Go through all the scenarios. We are playing the tabletop version. We will be playing the tabletop version on stream. And I love it. I love the minis. I love the way combat works. I just am getting a kick out of it because it is on that, it's a combat-focused, combat-oriented game, and it is so much fun.
Absolutely. And it's unlike 5th edition, how we've been playing it here. Gloomhaven uses a hex-based grid, which means movement's a little bit different. There's more potential people adjacent to you.
Yeah, it's weird.
Squares, what are they even good for, right? But we're very excited to give a different sort of spin. This would be a story that, well, it is to D4, is not actually written by me. And that'll be an interesting change of pace here on the channel.
Yeah.
We got lots of fun stuff, working a whole bunch behind the scenes, and I can't wait to show you what Victoria's been cooking up for all of the cool overlay and widgets.
Yeah, I'm excited to figure out what I'm going to do entirely because there's so many different things to look at and see with this game. So
there's a lot of pieces. The box itself weighs 23 pounds.
So yeah, big game. Big game.
Okay, so those two are my big announcements that I've told them about. And now this next one I have to be a little bit vague, and I do apologize for that. But hey, once I've told you the real deal, it'll have been worth the wait. Later this year, I am planning a certain one-shot, and the only thing I can tell you about it is that it'll take place in space. I'm very excited. Both of my players have 2 ideas. They're not sure of which one what I'm referring to, and I will not be telling them for a while yet.
Is it gonna be future space or a long time ago?
Oh, what an interesting question. That is, you've tipped my hand of the 2 possible options.
I like that I sat here confused for most of what you were saying. Like,
Konner
what are
and me are in the exact same
about?
space. Konner asked the one question. I can't answer that without revealing the.
Yeah, I know.
Revealing it.
We'll have to put you in a tough spot. It's okay. That's our job as players.
But yes, so we have a subscriber goal below, which will get us to our Battlesphere one-shot. We've got more things down the pipeline coming here in the next few months as we come into our own in 2022. And hey, Gloomhaven, I'd like to see starting up here within the next month.
Ooh, we should do something special for April.
I would love
Sorry
that.
for all the shh sounds, but
yeah.
well, I mean, April, 4th month, D4. I don't know. I'm pitching it now. Pitching
Month
the idea.
to D4.
Workshopping month to D4.
Oh man, it's terrible. I love it.
We'll stream every day that month. No, I'm just kidding.
I would love to do that, but I don't have enough players for all of my one-shot ideas.
It's okay. You have one buy-in right here every day.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Well, with that, let's talk a little bit about last session. We have a couple different things we could discuss, but I want to because we had an audience question, I want to go in that direction first.
Okay.
So, we talked about fear. Victoria, you wanted to tell us a little bit more about that spell, and Jake was curious about how it would affect different players.
So the text of the spell itself doesn't actually determine whether or not it doesn't say like what it is or if I decide what it is, how frightening it is. But I like to imagine it, and this is some of my past life coming out, but I'd like to imagine it's
Her
kind of
past life?
it's kind of like a nightmare, but a little bit to the left. So like a nightmare that you've had, but shifted a little bit. You know, like maybe, I don't know, like your house is burning down, but your barn's okay, like in your nightmare. But then like in the fear, it's kind of like flipped or something. Like still something scary. I'm not trying to put like I'm truly not trying to give people heart attacks. It is a 3rd level spell.
You had an assassin try to claw his way up to a ceiling.
So I'm not sure what's actually happening in people's brains. This is my former bard coming out and being like a little bit nice about it. I think as Meanie would want it to be like heart attack inducing. Me as a person, I would like for it to be like a nightmare, like a really bad nightmare.
Cold
So
sweat.
it's different for every person that experiences it because it's based on their own experiences.
Right. I can't say like I had, example, I have a traumatic backstory because, I don't know, a tidal wave took out my parents' fishing boat.
Oh.
So I can't give everybody nightmares about tidal waves with fear because I just think that some people wouldn't care, and you may run into people who have never been near the ocean and like, what is this? All of it's just, maybe that's even scarier if you've never seen like the ocean.
But what about your characters? I think the essence of the question that was being asked was, hey, what are your characters scared of?
I know what Laurentius would see.
Oh.
Yeah, I know what I would see, and I've basically seen it twice or 3 times already in this campaign.
Oh, well, tell us. We don't need to be quite. We have. There are tens of millions of people watching who want to know what spooks you.
I would have to say, very specifically, the fall of the House of Summer would be. I mean, very, very close to my heart would be L falling, which has happened 3 times now. But like very, very specifically, it would be like an elven house in ruins.
Okay. And now, Konner, I know what you're going to say on this one, but I want to hear your spin on Laurentius's fear.
Okay. It would probably just be a replay of when failed it on the painting in the barn when he kind of had that little mental breakdown. He'd see the exact same thing.
Yeah.
Why is the DM taking notes? Jake, the reason I'm taking notes is because I'm a monster.
That's actually true. He's all of the monsters. And all the shopkeeps. But he is all the monsters, by the way.
Yeah, fear is awesome though. The wording is very specific, and because it's so specific, it's such a good spell.
Right, because it's like they have to use their action for dash. But once they are far enough away from you, it doesn't necessarily state they have to keep dashing. They just have to, if they can move, they must move. Yeah. And then they still have the frightened condition, which would mean that they have their whole like disadvantage on attacks while they're in line of sight of me. So I just positioned myself in the room where no matter where they went, they would see me if they were in the room.
Yeah, you guys made that battle. We're referring to the second fight last session, which in the cellars beneath the tunnels of Shelt, you found a bunch of prisoners. That was I made a kind of an odd, almost U-shaped. There was a hallway with a room on each end, and you guys made a really good job, full on. Like one of those long track hallway scenes in a film. Guys, you guys really use this space.
Yeah. And I didn't really have very many of them before, but cone effects are kind of cool. Like I like lines and cones and stuff. Okay, I don't like lines. Here's why. You have to be lined up perfectly, and I'm not good at that. I can't plan that far ahead.
Yeah, Victoria doesn't like when you have to draw a straight line. It's not about it.
Not about it. But cones, I just have to stand somewhere. And like everybody, instead of like a straight line, like a lightning bolt, not great at that.
I don't know, lightning bolt's like one of my favorite spells.
I think it's a fun spell. I'd love to do like a storm sorcerer, but
especially for narrow hallways, great spell.
Narrow hallway, but we were on a curve.
Yeah.
You know, we were going
just
down and out.
Use chain lightning, and then you'll be fine.
Oh, fair.
Oh, is that all? What is that? A 6th level spell in 5e?
6th or 7th.
Yeah, it's up there. I have to say, I love that you have 3rd level spells. Now, you've not yet, I don't know if you told other players, I don't remember exactly, but you do have another 3rd level spell available.
I do.
Very powerful.
Very
and
powerful.
I'm very, jokes aside, I'm very excited for you to get to use it, because it's got to feel good.
It's also the earliest in the campaign anybody's had this spell.
Yes, it is cold right now.
Yes, it is.
For Texas, it's very cold.
Yes.
Is it 30 outside?
It's 30.
Yeah.
30s. It's
30.
in the 30s somewhere.
Which is
30
surprising for us, you know.
Considering it was 80 the day before, yesterday, right?
Yeah.
It was rough. I did not like being that sweaty and then very, very cold the next day.
Yeah.
But this is the fastest anybody in a campaign has had this spell.
It's last time nobody took it that early.
Fear? Oh.
Did you take in the Helves? Did you take?
Yes, I did actually.
Okay, so we tied.
Are you keeping secrets from our audience, but
Okay,
not from each other?
I'll just say it. I also have counterspell. I'm an abjuration wizard.
So
Every
good.
time I cast counterspell, my ward heals. So
It's going to heal for 3, right?
It's level spell plus 1.
Oh.
So it's 4.
Wow.
Right? I think it's level spell plus 1.
I mean, we can look it up.
I don't think it's a multiplier. I don't think that they did that.
No,
That'd be
I don't believe
insane.
so.
That would be crazy. Yeah.
Right, because that would be,
That would
at
be-
minimum, it would be 6.
Right. And so, okay, we've talked about how only Ismini can cast 3rd level spells.
Yep.
And the reason for that is because, Konner, you multi-classed.
Yeah, I did.
I want to talk about the mechanics, the intricate timepiece that is Konner's character sheet already. What's going on, man? What are you thinking? It's crazy.
What am I? What? Expand? What?
So you were playing a sorcerer. One more level in sorcerer, and you could get 3rd level spells. But instead, you chose to take a level in warlock, halting your progression somewhat. What appealed to you about doing this multi-class?
Honestly, just from a mechanics perspective, I wanted to be Charisma 20, at least,
Yes.
before I started multi-classing into Warlock, because I already knew I was going to go Warlock.
Yep.
Kind of decided on Hexblade probably a few weeks before we actually got to level 5. But I still think it's a really big boost in power. It's not necessarily probably as good as like a third level spell. But
let's talk about that, because I actually want to say that with the exception of one other character who we've yet to see in their fifth level version, I actually think you got the largest jump of any player.
I think that's specific to the class I chose for my multi-class.
Yeah.
Because Warlock gets so much at level 1, just like a Sorcerer would.
Right. Now, we had a combo that you described just before last session. We haven't seen it yet, I don't believe, but I'm really excited for you to use it.
I'm terrified.
So, if you don't, I don't want to steal your thunder if you want to go over it for the audience.
Thunder, that's a good,
Thunder's a...
good segue. Booming Blade with the telekinetic feat is a really good combo. If anyone's looking to do like an Eldritch Knight, or if you're doing a Blade Singer, definitely take
Booming Blade.
telekinetic
Yeah.
with the Booming Blade.
Absolutely.
I think it's a great feat.
And so, for those of
For a
you
great
who,
combo.
who aren't familiar with the crunch here, so Booming Blade is an offensive melee cantrip. So you get to swing a melee weapon, a dagger in Thorn's case, and the damage scales. At first, it's just your normal damage. Once you hit level 5, you do add an additional, I believe, D8.
1d8, yeah.
Of thunder damage. And that's already pretty good. But Booming Blade on top of that then creates a shimmering field that if that character willingly moves, it will move through the field and take extra damage. This is already a good spell without any combo
For sure,
potential, very solid. But with telekinetic shove, you would have been in melee range with someone already when you hit them with Booming Blade. Shove pushes them back 5 feet, and therefore, if they next turn, if they're a raging barbarian or some other melee person, they will have to take that damage to hurt you.
Yep, and also that gives you an opportunity to get out of there too. Give you some more space.
It's almost like a disengage.
Yeah.
In a way of thinking.
Kind of, exactly. Very limited disengage because that's all you can really use it for. In that
Right, because it's you can really you can use telekinetic shove already functions almost as the cunning action in a very limited sense
limited space
from the rogue.
Yeah,
Because if you're next to 2 people, that's it. You
Yeah.
know? Now you're only taking 1 less.
one less. Yeah, exactly.
I have to say, man, I love the builds we've been seeing here. You'll be seeing very soon, this Friday, in fact, a 5th level magus for the first time, and Chloe and I, we've kept a little bit under wraps some of the abilities that Ililia will be showing off, but needless to say, Elle is about to jump quite a bit. One of the obvious ones I can admit to, because we saw it with Silas, is extra attack.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's this
Kind of just doubles your strength.
Yeah, there's this post that like circulates around and people are talking about like different party members, different classes talking about like, oh, I leveled up. What did I get? Basically like, oh, after that last fight, I'm feeling this surge of energy and I can understand these new spells. I can fly now. I can do all these things. And then the fight was like, I can swing again.
What if I was angry twice a day?
And that's the thing. Honestly, people make that joke thing like, okay, yeah, now I'm 5th level. I can cast Fireball, but that's one time, right? I've got two 3rd level spell slots, so I can cast Fireball twice.
And
That's it. Every single time Silas and Elle attack now, they're gonna attack twice. That's every single time. So yes, I get it. We are I get mages are super strong, wizards, wow. But every single time a fighter attacks now, 2 attacks.
2 attacks. Yeah.
So
And to go into the fluff of
it's
that,
not as sometimes people are like, oh well, marshals are weaker, you know, like all these spells, but I think I don't think that's a fair argument because
No, it's not.
if you want to kill a dragon, bring a fighter.
yeah,
Now, if you want to kill armies,
bring
a wizard.
yeah, or a bard.
Yeah, and both those attacks, they get to add their modifiers to it. So that's even better than a wizard casting Firebolt at 1 person.
Right.
I've seen a comparison made to many people think of the agonizing blast ability of 2nd level warlocks to be very, very powerful.
Yeah.
But if you really look at the math and you compare to certain weapons, you could compare its damage output to most 5th level marshals, because in a sense it ends up being your damage dice plus your modifier twice.
Yeah.
Your build is very exciting to me. I had to actually do a lot of planning to potential patrons. Konner let me know before, and this is, can I peek a little bit?
Yeah.
Konner let me know a little bit before the campaign some ideas for where he wanted to go. We talked about the potential for Warlock Sorcerer multi-classing, but we weren't certain when. And Connor, you didn't want to be led too much into the what is the patron yourself.
No.
You kind of let that be on my side of the screen.
Yeah, I think that's going to be fun.
I've been asked by several of our party members, what's the deal with your patron? And I have said nothing.
Okay. So there's been a couple of ways now we've seen people handle being a warlock in our party. And I'm going to sit here and love it. And Jake, I see that you're in chat. I've seen you talking. How you handled your warlock, where it's like, I can't read my contract versus I don't think you have any idea what's going on too.
No clue.
Like two different ways of dealing with it. Some people are very overt. They're like, yes, I went and I asked like a demon,
And
right?
there's in our setting specifically, there are powerful beings that you could choose to make deals with, but doing so does not make you a warlock.
Right.
So you could go and find a horned demon in a tuxedo who's very excited to claim something from you in exchange for great wealth or something. But that's not what a warlock is. A warlock for us is very specifically about Geo is here.
You were also a warlock. You were our first warlock.
Geo, my man behind the screen often, he's here in chat, one of our mods, played a wonderful Hexblade warlock by the name of Zex.
That was a fun character. That was
My first experience getting to have a warlock at the table.
That was whenever I realized I liked warlocks. I wasn't sold on warlocks until Zex.
When you don't know the rules of 5th edition, I think warlocks appear very weak, and anyone who's played this game more than a few sessions with one knows that's absolutely not the case. If there are weaker classes, which is something that people could debate, certainly it isn't the warlock.
It's not the warlock. Now, I'd read it and I'm like, the flavor I didn't really feel in all this nonsense with the short rests and the spells and all that. I just wasn't really sold. I'm sold. I just haven't played one yet.
Yeah.
But I'm sold.
I've been having a great time running games for you guys. Thank you. I know we're here on Footnotes, but
Don't call out the ranger like that.
it's
It's the ranger.
this is recorded. This is going to exist for a long time, but yeah, base ranger, it has a generally harder time competing. But 5e doesn't have to be a competitive game. It doesn't have to be a problem. There's lots of tables where I do less average damage, or I feel like I have less utility in these situations. That doesn't have to be a problem. There are lots of different ways to play 5e.
Can I just say something else about last session real quick?
Oh, please
Popped
do.
into my head. That egg. So, we go to this little festival. We're given little pine cones.
Oh, that was a long time ago. What does that have to do with this session?
Right. No, I'm suspicious.
Oh, you're painting a picture.
I'm painting a picture. A long time back, whenever we were about level 2, we go to a festival. And at this festival, we go to this little fortune-telling booth. And the fortune teller gives you little pine cone animals and things. Little pine cone things. I'm given an orange lizard that I don't recognize. I come to this basement dungeon nonsense, and I'm shown an egg, an orange lizard egg that I don't recognize. I am concerned that pinecone and egg may be the same thing going on right here. So I am now wondering, one, is this a good thing? Is this a good omen? Like, is this egg thing gonna be like a good thing for me? Or is it gonna be horrible? Because
Oh, come on. Jake is in the chat. I have to say it for him. Or is this a bad egg?
This is a bad egg. Bad. So I am just gonna say that now. Hey, something that happened before came back, and I am now scared. Because if mine came back, will other people's come back? And I am a very good player. I forgot everybody else's predictions.
I don't know anyone else. I just know my own.
I deleted them from my. I only know one other person's.
Is
I
it
deleted
Clolis?
theirs. Yes.
So,
Well, that was because it was extraordinarily impactful.
so,
So.
oh man. I don't want to put you guys on the spot. I was going to offer a bicycle if someone could remember if either of you could remember what Amanda's was.
Nope.
No, I did a good job deleting I deleted my own.
I'll tell you this. First one of my friends who lets me know about that's going to get that bicycle. I have it in my notes.
I didn't write it down. I'm not going to write other people's fortunes down. What are you talking about? Augury.
Also for the ranger, if you want to play a good ranger that does really good damage, just play a Gloomstalker ranger and take Zephyr Strike.
I really want to play a Gloomstalker Ranger.
Zephyr Strike's just a cool spell.
Yeah.
It's a really great spell.
I believe there's a paladin subclass with access to it as well now.
Oh, really?
Yes,
Wow.
which Connor's like, well,
Well, I guess that's my next character.
I don't
hey,
want.
you got Charisma 20. Just dip into paladin
Oh, there you
next.
go, yeah.
I don't want to give any spoilers for anybody else's shows. But somebody does end up playing a Gloomstalker Ranger out there in the world that I just want to say it, but I don't know if I can.
It's not a spoiler to say, hey, such and such channel has this class and is really good.
Somebody changes class. Somebody changes
Well,
what they're...
don't tell anymore. Just tell
Right.
us what the...
I feel like I said too much now.
We'll get a spray bottle.
Sorry.
But yes, Gloomstalker Ranger's great. Check out the revised Ranger for a Ranger that generally does more things. And don't play the base Beastmaster unless you're not super worried of the crunch, in which case, hey, you play that bear.
I was trying to figure out. I was crunching the numbers for a minute to see if there was any possible way to do like a Ranger Wizard overlap, and there isn't.
It's one of the hardest
There's
multi-class.
no overlap.
It's up there with what I would say Druid plus Wizard is, where it's so hard to mix them.
No.
The new Ranger class from the Treasury of Dragons is actually pretty cool too.
Thank you for that for Christmas, by the way. I finally have Fizz Bands, and I'm very excited to use some of the stat blocks and other abilities inside.
I haven't read it yet. I have not read any of the new subclasses. So
You guys met Zarathal.
Oh.
I know we talked about it a little bit, but you met Zarathal. Clella, watching back at home, is freaked out about hearing about the Tournament of Blades. We haven't talked yet about Zarathal. I'm excited to hear what Gwynwyn is going to have to say. Does Thorn have any opinions? I know where Ismini is, and I don't mean to be mean, Victoria, but someone hurt Elle.
Yeah.
We get what Ismini's thinking.
I have a bigger problem than somebody hurting Elle.
But okay, so I want to hear about that, but I also want to know, what does Thorn think about this man who's been, killing and resurrecting into like horrible undead abominations the people of Elves?
I think it's going to be one of the first merciless killings for Thorn, probably.
Merciless killings.
Yeah.
So you're saying he's not going to go into lockup?
No.
No.
Ooh.
Bad.
Now, here is my problem. I, as Victoria, know things that I don't know if Ismini knows. Ismini, that I know of, is currently concerned because somebody's trying to kill Elle. But I, as a player, have so many more concerns about Elle being kidnapped and people poking and prodding, and it just like is making me all sorts of like.
Oh, you mean you know Elle's deal?
I know all of the whole Elle story. So me as a player, I'm sitting here going, oh no, like we don't want people to know Elle is like as important as she is, and now we've got somebody who is sitting here like, hey, Elle, you're a Lily A. Arendral. Tell people a different name, and now all of a sudden somebody's like doing like a, I don't know, inspection with magic. That's not great.
None of my
That's not
players
great.
investigated to see what Zarathal was doing in that room.
Not-
but there
I
is
mean-
a strange fire just near Elle's head.
Right.
Might want to look at that, or she's gonna have a bad hair day.
So if we don't, if we don't want people to know who Elle is, now we have somebody who
Scar her face. Burn the face.
burn the face. Got it. Earlier I said something. pretty
Gwynwyn
messed
has
up.
acid.
It was fine. It'll work. But no. Me as a player and me as Ismini both are like, okay, people will definitely now know who Elle is. Like this is a problem for me.
I don't
Elle.
have a rules quibble this week.
I have a rules quibble.
You took my rules quibble?
I came up with it during our last session.
Fine. I'll allow it.
It was because of something Konner said. You asked Konner, hey, you know this is going to be lethal damage, right? And he was like, yeah, that's fine. Evocation Wizards. Now, I'm not arguing for myself.
Yes.
I'm an abjuration wizard. Evocation Wizards can sculpt their spells.
Yes, spell sculpting, for those of you who may not know, is an ability that essentially allows wizards to shoot a fireball into a room filled with a couple of their friends and make it so that their friends are either partially or sometimes even entirely protected from the harm of that explosion.
If an evocation wizard can sculpt their spells enough to not kill their friends with fireballs, firestorms, anything like that, anything evocation magic, how could they not do non-lethal range spell attack damage on people? Because if they can already sculpt their spells that much to prevent a meteor storm coming down from the skies from killing their friends or even injuring their friends, why can't they just splash a little acid on him, but it's not going to kill him because it didn't hit the vitals.
I've really wrestled with non-lethal on magic because you both know in our previous game we actually ignored the rule about ranged and ranged attacks never being. We allowed ranged attacks to be non-lethal, which is a house rule, though one that most players or some players are relatively fine with.
Yeah, I will fully admit I wasn't like super crunchy in the beginning. I didn't know that was even a thing.
And so I don't know.
Non-lethal gunshots.
You've done non-lethal gunshots, which you think I'm gonna kneecap him. It's fun.
Right. But in 5th edition, that's not a thing.
Right, and I do think it'd be fine to play the way we've played previously. Because we have some house rules, I think that when we're streaming here with you and the audience, it's helpful to play. We can be 2 steps off of rules as written, but there is, for all of the things I like to do that are off of the rules, I think it's good to compensate by being a little bit more by the book in those areas that don't matter quite as much.
Yeah. But...
Also, Ismini's a straight-up killer.
But... Evocation Wizards, which again,
yes, they
I'm
absolutely
not
should.
An Evocation Wizard. So I'm not arguing for this for myself, but I can see even more than just saying like, oh, we should be able to shoot somebody in the knee. Skyrim.
You can't just say Skyrim. That's
career
the whole meme.
There we go. Everybody knows what I'm talking about. You can shoot somebody in the knee. But Evocation Wizards, it makes sense. I don't know of anything else.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a little bit before stream, but I guess maybe the Sorcerer's Careful spell meta magic might apply to that as well.
It was kind of like the same thing as
it's not as good as the Sculpt, obviously, but
Sculpt is effectively a rogue's evasion feature.
Yeah.
But that would be the situations, and I'm not going to say that I can just, again, shoot lightning at somebody and I myself don't kill them, but I think there's an argument to be made. And that would I get it to a degree too, like don't complicate the rules, but it's an exception for 2 circumstances.
I think that's just a narrative thing, really.
Yeah.
Honestly, but as far as ranged spells, that's the DM's decision, I think.
I tend to have it, most creatures you've ever fought, even when you weren't doing lethal damage, I don't tend to have them instantly die, but fall dying. So, for example, in that hallway fight that we talked about earlier, those bandits there are not dead. Sans for there, I believe the barbarian himself did perish. No, actually, specifically non-lethal, that person. But for those folks in there, a lot of them fall down and are bleeding out, and you left them there with a holy paladin of the Legion.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna kill them. Probably.
Now,
Gosh. Kind of paladin.
Konner, you've been eyeing up this conditions section of the PHB.
Yeah, I just pulled it up.
You had some ideas about conditions, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's something that a lot of people forget about and are hard to remember. Because there are some that are similar, but they're different, if that makes any sense.
Incapacitated is one that often has small subtleties that people don't remember.
Yeah, and just even for me, just reading this, because I was misremembering, paralyzed and stunned are very close to the same condition, but they're slightly different.
Paralyzed is way better.
Way better, yeah.
It is. It has the critical clause.
Right, exactly. Yeah, within 5 feet, it's an auto crit if you hit. So.
Which is why Stunning Strike, while very strong on the monk, is not hold person with fists.
Yeah. Right, because then you get the key points, and you're doing it at like level 2 with Stunning Strikes, so that'd be way too early for an effect that powerful.
Yeah, although if you play a moon druid or not druid, cleric.
Yeah.
Cleric. And get hold person, you can do some nasty damage when you swing.
Absolutely. Hold person, fantastic. Love casting it. Using it in a wild shape is great. Guys, I forgot an announcement.
What'd you forget?
A huge announcement. An announcement for you guys, not for these fools. We have a new subscriber reward. So, what we're going to be doing, starting very, very shortly, excuse me, starting very soon, we're actually going to be taking we're going to randomly select one of our subscribers here on our Twitch channel, as well as one of our patrons over on our Patreon. We're going to randomly determine one of those people, and I'm going to once a month be generating a special customized monster stat block just for that person. What this essentially means is, let's pretend Konner here was one of our wonderful subscribers and decided, I've got a home game with some bunch of idiots, and I want to play. I want to play with something. You want the.
I got an idea.
Oh, you want to pitch it?
Yeah, sure.
Oh no.
So I'm running this home game, and yeah, my players are idiots. They're also really big fans of SpongeBob, and so we're playing a Bikini Bottom one shot. I need a bad guy Squidward monster. Go.
Excellent. And so
I got it because of that picture.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you did the thing where you read behind. We have a copy of Bold and Brash, which you can see on our Discord, just behind the camera we're looking at now.
Yeah, that is Squidward on the wall. I do forget that is what that is.
If Konner was our winner, what would happen is I'd speak with Konner early in the month. I would go ahead and I'd ask a couple of questions. So he gave me that basic description. I'd ask a little bit about what his players are. Both, are they pretty familiar with the game? Do you want this to be a very hard monster? A monster you're going to be putting lots of? Figure out its sort of role. And from there, I'd create a monster of appropriate challenge rating, but also of appropriate theming. And since we're talking about conditions, I make a lot of custom stat blocks for my games. I have several hundred of them for our online game that we played last year. And I'm actually a big fan of taking and sometimes lowering the damage number on monsters and adding in various status conditions. The character Jared, one of the rivals of the party, actually has a small collection of poisons he uses on his daggers. One of them, the Jared Special, is very fun and provides a mixture of different status effects. And so what we would do in this instance with Konner is, of course, I would make this very angry Squidward NPC. I would write a little bit of fluff, something similar to what you'd see in the monster manual. Now, I'll admit, we won't have art here starting out. We don't currently have an artist here for this sort of endeavor, but we're really excited to work with the dungeon masters we have in our audience to make something fun together.
And we do have a PC artist for the player characters. If you like his stuff, his information is in our description below on Twitch.
Also, I just thought that if there was an evil Squidward, he'd probably be like a cross between a vengeance paladin and a bard. Have that stupid clarinet. I think that'd be pretty great.
It'd be pretty great.
So what we're going to be doing, if you're not subscribed now, we'd love, if you want to go ahead and subscribe, don't worry, we've not yet drawn for January. We should have more details. We'll be posting them on the Twitter this week for when that drawing is going to take place. And this is just going to be something fun that we get to do. You'll get to interact with me as a Dungeon Master. Or if you also want to consult with one of our other players here, we'd love to chat and help make your home game a bit better. And if you'd like, some of these ideas, if the requesters want, might even end up appearing on our campaign.
Awesome.
Nice.
That's great.
And if they don't, in the battle sphere.
Yeah, just be gentle if it's going to be in our campaign. That's all I ask.
If you're like, hey, no, I really want you to have to run it, and like, I'm scared.
I threw someone with more than 10 spell slots and put them in a room with them last session, so no, don't be gentle.
Oh, gosh.
What do you do about bad rolls? What do you do when you're having a bad night?
What do you do
Hi,
about
Jake.
bad rolls?
What do you do about
What do
Jake?
you do, Jake?
Yeah.
No, okay.
Because I think he's had 2 horrible sessions.
He's had
Number-wise,
2, yeah.
not play. He's playing very well, and Silas saved the day more than once last session.
It's just those dice. It's the dice or the tray or I don't know what. I think step 1 is to not get salty, which is the hardest part.
Jake is good about
It's so hard
avoiding
to not
salt.
it's so easy to get salty because you're just sitting there like, I just want to do something. I just want to do anything.
Attack rolls are hard.
Yeah. It's like, it's part of the reason why I don't really like save or suck spells, which I have some. The ones where if they pass their saving throw, then nothing happens.
You don't mind though when they hit multiple people. as
Right.
much.
But then, there's been times where like all but one people were fine. One person, totally fine. Really annoying.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the hardest part, is to just like not feel bad. I don't know how to put it. I
It's
know.
just
it is though. It's a thing to recognize.
It's that uphill battle. It's that battle of attrition. You just
Yeah.
have to kind of get through it. Like Jake was a pretty big trooper for going through that. I mean, 10 nat
Yeah,
ones.
we hit
10
double
nat
digits.
ones.
Well, he hit double digits.
Crazy.
Let's not put that on anyone else.
So it's just something that, it's a fluke,
Yeah.
and you just gotta kind of roll with the punches.
Some of the things I've seen for helping as a player get through it. Oh,
Jake's solution:
Yeah.
drink more.
That's probably why he's rolling so bad. Nah,
yeah.
Shake your hands.
Shake your hands. No, some of the things I've seen online are like to try to find a justification and character for it. So like, if he was like really worried about L, that would explain why he was missing. You know, like it's not like Jake saying I rolled a 20, but I'm gonna say I missed because it's better that way. But like to kind of work that justification into the moment and say, okay, yeah, I'm rolling really rough today. Like what's going on? We do it all the time for whenever we're rolling hot. Like I'm on fire. I'm fighting my enemy. I am so cool. I am so good.
We have the answer here in chat. It was me. Geo says, "Oh my God, is Jake still using the loaded dice we gave him?"
Yes.
And
what it is.
that's probably it.
All of his dice, all his d20s were replaced.
And those that weren't is Meanie put a hex on them.
Yeah.
Very inconvenient.
But I think that the best that I've found to deal with that salt, because really that's the biggest problem, is that, you know, you're sitting there and if your party is also, if your party's doing fine and you're not doing well, there's two ways the battle could be going. It could be going really well, and then you're like, well, what am I here for? Like, I don't know, just like, I'm just gonna go, I don't know, make a pizza. And then the other way is if it's going really poorly, you're like, I'm not pulling my weight. So finding a way to work it into the character for me is the way I deal with it. I think that's the best advice I have.
Yeah, because, I mean, it is dice.
Yeah.
They roll by a chance.
And it doesn't
So-
mean that Silas was doing... Silas in the setting wasn't tripping over himself. He wasn't dropping his hammer. He was fighting in a basement with a low ceiling, scraping up against the walls, hitting the jail cell, getting bumped by a barbarian while he's trying to swing his hammer. Silas is immensely talented, but the situation was against him in that instance.
And the other thing, we talked about this a couple times with Konner on, of like, you know, outside of the game, if we've had an argument in character outside the game, we're like, we're all good, you know? So keeping that frustration limited to, because, you know, like people will say, oh, it's just a game, but it's still frustrating to sit there for like a few hours and not have a good session. I had one where I did nothing for an entire combat. I did no damage. Everybody passed my saves. I didn't hit anybody.
I think that you had an issue in one of the Turbury sessions way back when.
And I did nothing. And it's, you know, you're trying to roll checks even, and you're rolling like fives, and it's like, oh, well, you know, you're looking for tracks, but you can't find anything in the mud.
Yeah.
It's rough. So take that step back too and say, like, doing the analytical, what would my character do? That helps.
Yeah, as far as like failing something, I feel like skill checks are the ones that really get under my skin the most.
Yeah.
Failing a skill check is
It's hard.
so annoying.
There's been times where Konner has very clearly, can I listen for someone upstairs? Like, you have a very clever idea. Sometimes you'll do a skill check that was such a well-placed one as a player that I'll give you advantage because it was such a good idea. And then rolling a 6 or an 8, it's just...
And that
You see me fall because I want you to win.
Yeah.
That happened to us last session. You had introduced to us a new character, and we were all like, you were like, okay, what is he? Roll your... And I'm like, I know by the voice. I know by the description. I've played in his campaigns before. I know that that's a Furbolg. I know it.
Yes, we have
But-
established in our setting that Furbolgs are all very, very strange.
I love it, but I didn't know... Ismini didn't know. And I'm sitting there like... I know. And it's so hard whenever you as a player have knowledge that your character doesn't, either by rolls or by... I mean, my character wouldn't know anything that happened in all these different weird tiny sessions that we had in the past, but
Right.
I do, so I might know as me what the weaknesses of an enemy are, but why would she? I have to play it like I play it.
No, Jake Frost, I don't believe any player on the attempts to identify a Furbolg rolled above a 5. And now, normally I wouldn't have you roll to identify the most basic thing, like another playable race. But in our setting, Furbolgs, much like Loxodons, are incredibly rare in Gren.
And, you know, I'm on my list of PC races I want to play. Furbolg is on it. So
Yeah.
you're going to have to deal with that. Oh, Furbolg Bard. Got it. We're good.
They are essentially a middle point between they are a fey forest folk race, but they are also giant kin. There's some different interpretations of their fluff that have been seen at various points. If you want a group who's done very intense deep dives into furbolgs and has a very unique take, of course, there's Critical Role. In ours, our players haven't explored much about furbolgs, and we'll see if Yerf or others of his kin end up showing up.
Is that 2 in a... No, Yerf has 4 letters. I wrote it with 3.
Yeah.
That was me.
Yes, the previous furbolg the party is very familiar with, a very powerful, very strange man by the name of Dut.
Love Dut.
F's in the chat. Rest in peace.
Rest in peace,
Rest in
Dut.
peace, Dut.
I had a question.
I love questions. That's like the whole. That's why I made footnotes.
More directed to Konner.
Ooh,
Okay.
I get to relax.
But you also get to join in on this because I'm feeling
maybe.
a little bit whimsical. I'm feeling a little bit, in the spirit. New year.
Oh,
Looking back on the campaign so far, this is something I kind of wanted to share my feelings on and kind of get everybody else's. But what are some of the things that have really stood out for you so far? Because I've got one that hit me last session, and I believe.
one.
Stood
Yeah.
out so far. Wow.
Yeah. What are the? I can go first if you want. What you
Yeah,
think? Because
I'll
I didn't
think
just
about
throw it at you.
Yeah, I'll think.
Mine would be, and this is a moment I think that every DM would want and every player would want, because in our last campaign we had PCs that we fell in love with, we traveled with, we spent time with, but in this campaign, from what I can tell, the NPCs that we have fallen in love with the most have died. They are all, and no. Let me explain. It was so human to go to that architect's apartment and she had drawn a bath because she thought her lover was coming over. She was going to bathe in rose petals and wear a beautiful robe. And then we had Sulo, who spent time with his family at the end. And then we had Oswald. And our motivation from the beginning of the campaign and all of these people that we have met and come across, we haven't really spent time with, but they're the ones that are leaving that strong impression on us as a table. And that's such an interesting change from previous sessions, previous campaigns, and I just wanted to put that out there because, hey, compliment your DMs, but also it's just an amazing moment as a player to go, wow, I literally never met this architect, but I felt so bad, and just she stuck with me so much that I've been thinking about her sessions later.
Yeah. Yeah, the NPCs have been very strong in this game, and they tend to die.
Yeah, but the fact that we never met her.
That's not necessarily a bad thing.
A necromancer and a
I like
painter
the way
walk into a bar.
The story's going. What stood out the most?
That was very nice, Victoria. Thank you.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I think just kind of how we are adventuring is probably what's standing out to me the most. It's very different from how we played the first campaign.
Yeah.
Being these like incredible like heroes of the realm and all that. Now we're kind of like the bottom rung of that whole society, and we're doing mercenary work to make ends meet, and I like it. It's more
It's very different.
yeah.
And this early on, feeling like you kind of have a home base, or people to stay for, reasons to stay. You've got family. I have my reasons for being an Elts. Like, everybody wants to be here. Gwynwyn and Silas are looking for a friend. We've got this place, and we had a home in the last campaign, but for some reason, this
Never
is...
there.
Yeah, never
We're never
there.
there.
We never went.
And so I want to address, Gio mentioned that bottom rung with 20 primary stat. It doesn't, your intuition isn't bad there. They are certainly powerful. These are people who could be impressive. You could choose to join a military and matter.
Not saying that we ourselves are bottom rung, more our status in society is.
Right.
As a collective.
when you all-
obviously Elle and Ismini are a little higher status.
Kevril, I want to say, was 6th level, going on 7th, when he became the Baron of Calberth.
Yeah.
And that's that. There's some posts floating around online. There's some graphics of it, but the hero path where you go from like a nobody to a very small town hero to a local or area hero, you go up and up through that. we started out and we were not heroes. We were wandering around, and now we're kind of gaining a little bit of renown. The leveling path kind of fits into that, but a thing to remember when thinking about D&D, like, oh yes, we could have 20s in all of our stats, but we're still level 5. Like, we're not gonna be able to fight dragons. And
well, so I'm curious.
Okay.
One thing I want to mention, hinting towards the future. This, if you think about who are in those cells, you rescued a nobleman, you helped protect Iris Perkins, you rescued Vanilla Bean. No, I will not be saying her full name here because I don't have it. I do have to reread it sometimes to get it quite right. But so now the Defiant Smiles, you've been name dropping it. You've been making new clients. You have Gwynwyn covering. Had you not had Gwynwyn go cover that mission that you guys had, there was going to be different repercussions. It was a very smart bit of play. You all are currently working on improving your reputation.
Okay, Jake, they weren't showering. They were in the cellar, which I realized after the fact. Like,
She was bathing in rose petals.
less than 20 minutes later into the session, like, we hadn't even gotten to Yerf yet. I was like, oh my goodness. On my character sheet, I have position of privilege. People just assume that I'm where I'm supposed to be. I could have just walked in and just done things, or said like, oh no, this isn't my home must be next door, or I'm trying to get to blah blah blah. I could have said the right things to maybe make it a little bit less bad for us.
It was totally possible to smooth over that encounter.
Right, but I froze up, and that's like truly of all weird
That's
things,
some real RP.
all the weird things that happened last session. I froze, and as a player and as a character, if I freeze, they freeze. So that's the only thing I really regret, is that I couldn't come up with something snappier.
I had some notes on that. In my encounter table, I had a thought, what if they attack the people living here? Well, they had 8 HP.
Where's
Or
Elle?
4 HP, excuse me.
I used my last 2nd level spell slot to break into that building.
You did. You used knock, and I just...
I heard voices behind the door. I was panicked. I thought Elle was back there. I bust in.
Oh my god, you used knock. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have the most pearl-clutching, like, mid-level rich halfling merchants back here. They might have been gnomes. Small folk merchants who just... You came in there, you basically helped, you came in there fully armed, an elephant behind you. An elephant and a drow.
I just should have called them my manservants and just like told them they led me to the wrong house. I never go through the tunnels.
Position of power would have worked.
It would have worked, and
Privilege.
Position of privilege, but I'm kicking myself so much because there's so many different things I could have done in character to, I won't use the word humiliate, but like, I could have just played the noble one time and it would have worked out possibly, or maybe, or definitely, because it's the background that I picked. It's supposed to kind of help out in these situations.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, oops.
Yeah, and I flubbed the skill check on that, so
Yeah.
I wasn't able to smooth things over.
We didn't even speak the same language, and I was not going to sit there and cast a spell in front of them to get comprehend languages working, and I don't have tongues, so I couldn't have communicated back.
I want to mention the spirit of falling forward as it's something that I kind of I want to preach here. Use a little bit of this space here on Footnotes to talk about your players rolling low. Does not mean your players did poorly. Mm-hmm. When your players make a bad plan, it's not necessarily unreasonable to punish them by the, what if we head in that long building where we hear all the orc sounds? Oh, that's their barracks. You can punish players. But rolling low, excuse me.
We did that.
Is not necessarily something that always has to be met in a negative sense. And in this situation, by having my players get the guards called upon them, yes, there was some embarrassment. Yes, they might have to answer for that. But it should be noted that those guards, the sergeant sent more soldiers to patrol the tunnels to help look around, and maybe next session we'll see the ramifications of that.
Oh no, my poker place
let's
is
say
going to
your
be
poker
gone.
place, you can't.
I can't.
You think Yerf is going to let some stupid guards in?
Your gambling addiction.
I don't have a gambling addiction.
Oh, okay.
I've never gambled in character as Ismini.
Yet.
Okay. Whenever building a character, tangent. When building a character, sometimes you have to pick out proficiencies and things that you may not be like totally in love with. And like I had to pick like a gaming proficiency for like noble, and I was like, I'll just take playing cards. It's
Oh,
turned
that's
into a
fun.
thing
You
now.
learn to play bridge while
Yeah.
you're in the.
Yeah, hey, why not?
We don't have to. We're just hitting time here, so we are going to be wrapping up Footnotes here in just a minute. But and I think I should try to make sure to say this every time here on Footnotes. Thanks for being so fantastic. This campaign has been going great. I'm excited for Gloomhaven, the different one-shots we have. Hey, we hope you'll click that subscribe button. I really like it. It makes Coco happy every time. Look at her. She just wants subscriptions. She's so...
Is
Coco,
she?
come here.
And, you know, again, being sentimental, we had such a great 2021 with you guys. I'm super excited now to get to spend 2022 with you in this campaign, in this world with us that we're so in love with.
Yeah, and being 5th level now, it's gonna get even crazier.
Yeah, we fight bigger
So-
stuff.
The last time my players
Stay
hit 5th
tuned.
level, I had them fight a green dragon, an illithid, and also more than 25 different forms of bandit.
Yeah.
So it's going to be fun.
Oh, and the shambling mound.
And the shambling
yeah.
map.
I love that fight.
And a mimic that was 20 by 20.
Yep, very big mimic.
Do you really want me to list all of that? I still have the floor plan somewhere.
Yeah, no. I'm super excited for this year. I've been falling in love with all of everybody's characters, the world even more. It's great.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to more content. Gloomhaven, one-shots, space.
Possibly some other board games too. If
Oh, yeah.
if people seem interested, we'd love to have you guys join us. We've got some games coming up here with Konner that we're excited about, and also I'll be doing some streaming on my personal Twitch, Moat of Matthew, where I'm playing both. I'm playing some auto chess, but we'll be starting Gloomhaven with some friends in the near future on there as well. So hey, thank you all so much for coming to Footnotes. We've been having a great time with you. Happy New Year, and hey, have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.